Sam Rodriguez had never planned to open a cafe. He had once dreamed of becoming a chef in a real restaurant, the kind with white tablecloths and soft lighting, but life had other plans. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? When his wife left 6 years ago, she left behind nothing but a 7-year-old boy named Marco and a silence so thick it was hard to breathe. Sam sold his culinary dreams, borrowed money from his uncle, and opened a small corner cafe called The Warm Cup, in a quiet neighborhood where nobody asked too many questions and everybody minded their own business. It wasn't glamorous. The chairs were mismatched, the counter was scratched, and the coffee machine groaned every morning like it was waking up with a bad back. But it was his, and it was Marco's future, and that was enough. Every morning before Marco's school bus came, Sam would wake up at 5, pack his son's lunch with a little handwritten note tucked inside, drop him at the corner, and walk back to open the cafe by 6:30. The neighborhood regulars came in for their usuals and left quickly, too busy with their own lives to linger. That was the routine until the woman appeared. She came for the first time on a cold Tuesday in November, stepping through the glass door with the kind of quietness that makes you turn around slowly, as if you might startle her. She was wearing a long grey coat that had seen too many winters, her silver hair tangled loosely around her thin face, her eyes carrying something deep and unreachable, like someone who had lived 10 lives and was exhausted from all of them. She sat in the corner by the window, folded her hands on the table and said nothing. Sam walked over with a menu, and she looked at it briefly, then looked up at him with steady eyes and said softly, "I don't have money today." Most cafe owners would have pointed to the door. Sam pulled out a chair, sat across from her and said, "That's all right. I made too much toast this morning anyway." He brought her coffee with 2 sugars and a plate of buttered toast. She ate slowly, looking out the window, and when she was done, she stood, nodded once with quiet dignity, and walked back out into the grey morning. She came back the next day and the next. Sam never asked for her name. He noticed she always wore the same coat, but that her nails were kept clean. He noticed she carried a small worn notebook, but never wrote in it in front of anyone. The regulars began whispering, "You're feeding a drifter, Sam. She's probably scamming you. You're barely keeping the lights on, man." Sam didn't argue with any of them. He just kept the corner table near the window warm for her every morning. Sometimes he put a small wildflower in a glass on her table, the kind Marco picked from the park on weekends. Sometimes he would sit across from her for a few minutes and talk about Marco's school projects or the weather, or nothing at all. And she would listen with those deep, steady eyes and occasionally smile, a smile that looked like it had been locked away somewhere for a long time. On rainy mornings, Sam would have a warm towel ready at the counter so she could dry her hair. On cold mornings, there was always a second cup of coffee waiting. He never made a show of it and never expected anything in return. One morning she looked at him and said quietly, "You are not afraid of people who have nothing." Sam shrugged and said, "Nobody has nothing. You've got good taste in corner seats." She laughed. It was the first time he heard it, and it sounded like something precious breaking open. Then on a cold Wednesday in February, she didn't come. Sam kept the corner table ready. She didn't come Thursday either, or Friday. He asked around quietly, but nobody knew anything about her. He told himself she had probably moved on, and he felt the small, quiet sadness that comes when you care about someone the world has decided is invisible. 12 days later, 2 sleek black cars parked outside. The Warm Cup. 4 men in dark suits stepped out first, followed by 2 women carrying leather briefcases. They walked in with the kind of calm authority that makes a room fall silent. One of the lawyers stepped forward and asked clearly, "Is there a man named Sam Rodriguez here, who operates this establishment?" Sam came out from behind the counter, wiping his hands on his apron, and said, "That's me." The lawyer opened her briefcase and placed a sealed envelope on the counter. "This was left for you," she said. "My client passed away 9 days ago and made very specific instructions that this be delivered personally. Sam opened the envelope with hands that weren't entirely steady. Inside was a single handwritten letter and a folded document. The letter read, "Dear Sam, my name is Eleanor Voss. I was once one of the wealthiest women in this country, and I gave most of it away over the years to people who needed it more than I did. But in my last chapter, I wanted to see whether ordinary human kindness still existed without any reason or reward. I found it in your corner cafe. You gave me warmth, dignity, and wildflowers when the world had long since stopped seeing me. I have no family left to leave behind. I leave to you and your son Marco the sum of $800,000. Held in a trust managed by the firm present today. Buy back your dreams, Sam. Teach your boy that kindness is never wasted. It always finds its way home. With deep gratitude, Eleanor." Sam stood for a long time holding the letter. Marco found out after school that afternoon and cried into his father's shoulder, and Sam held him and cried a little too, not just because of the money, but because Eleanor had seen something in him he'd almost forgotten was worth seeing. The warm cup still stands on that corner today, a little bigger now, with better chairs and a coffee machine that doesn't groan. But the corner table by the window is always kept with a small wildflower in a glass, and no one sits there for free coffee and toast is ever turned away. Because Sam Rodriguez never forgot what Eleanor Voss quietly taught him. That kindness given without expectation is the most powerful force in the world, and it never ever goes unnoticed. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories, where real humanity reminds us what truly matters.